So apparently, according to windowscentral.com, there'll be a link to the article in the comments description below, excuse me, should you want to go and view it yourselves. But apparently the next updates will reveal the classic cars to be included, which Codemasters, of course, as we already know, have been selected from community feedback. So obviously the Canadian Grand Prix is this weekend, so they could announce it this weekend. Now, just to say that ultimately we're still waiting for a trailer. I still think that a trailer will come after E3 and not before. It did last year. Only last year we got this gameplay stuff. We had gameplay earlier this year, but I think that's to fill the void left by classic cars. So I think they're going to try and trickle us little bits of reveal and at each Grand Prix possibly. Obviously there's a big huge gap from the summer month from the Hungarian Grand Prix to the Belgian Grand Prix, which is pretty much a month. So pretty much there'll be a month. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to call this the Hungarian Grand Prix. Now, for those of you who've forgotten, like me, we've still got quite a few Grand Prix to go before we get to Hungary. We have the French. After we have this weekend's Canadian Grand Prix, we have the French Grand Prix, the Austrian Grand Prix, the British Grand Prix, the German Grand Prix, and the Hungarian Grand Prix is on the 29th of July. So that'll be roughly around a month before the game. So I think that by the time they get to the 29th of July, we will know all the features for the F1 game. There'll be no last minute releases. We'll have a trailer by then. The trailer will be at the latest coming out on the 20th on that weekend, which is slightly earlier than last year, but it will mean that everything will be out in accordance. So there's including this weekend's Canadian Grand Prix, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Grand Prix to go. Now, obviously that leaked features gameplay, there was more than 6 points there, but some of them have already been released. So definitely we're going to see more gameplay, and they might trickle more stuff to us. If they are going to release anything at this weekend's Canadian Grand Prix, it will be classic cars, apparently, according to windowscentral.com. That's the only bit of news that really that I have got that I can find that's been leaked, other than that video that I did at the time that they had the gameplay, which subsequently cost me a better code, but nevertheless, well, I think it might have been worth it. Anyway, so yes, without a doubt, let's bring up last year's. Let's remind you, of course, nobody's pretty much played any classic cars since the game came out. So let's remind you guys of which the classic cars were revealed for F1 2017. So as you can see on your screen now, here is the full list of the 2017. There was the 1988 McLaren MP4-4, the 91 McLaren MP4-6, the Williams FW14B, the Ferrari F412T2, the Williams FW18, the McLaren MP4-13, the Ferrari F2002, the Ferrari F2004, Renault R26, the Ferrari F2007, the McLaren MP4-23, and the Red Bull RB6. They were the 12 cars that released. Now, in the game, I released this earlier, thanks to another YouTube called Of Flashes. The eye to the original video will be in the link where you can go and find links to his videos, etc. But in the game files for F1 2017 there are 3 additional cars: the 95 Benetton, the 2009 Brawn, and the 2013 Red Bull. So, if we presume that those cars are going to be in the game, then that will increase the list to 15. Now we're going to have to minus one of the cars from the list, and that is the 1988 McLaren MP4-4. If the problem with this car is that it comes at a cost of a license. It was a DLC, which of course if you bought the game as a pre-order, you got the car as part of that pre-order, but if you bought afters, it was a DLC. So basically, because of how much it costs, the licensing, I'm not sure they're going to do that with this year's game rather. I think the 88 McLaren MP4 is a one-off to especially the headline, make history. F1 2018 is not going to be about classic cars one little bit. Okay, they're going to be there simply to fulfill as some other gameplay. Simple as that. They're there as to fulfill the gameplay. If you've got nothing else to do on the game, you can have a go at some classic cars. That's what it is. F1 2018 is about making headlines, hence the link with the interviews and also ERS being in the game as well. So there's a lot of stuff. We're still, as you know, there was a leaked video. There'll be there'll be a link, rather than me putting an eye and trying to time it. There'll be a link to the playlist for 2018, and all the videos there are going to be there, so including the classic cars and all the trailers and all stuff will be in that playlist. Make sure you subscribe as well to see more like this. This is the only new bit of news I haven't covered previously in the game. So if we take off, if we modify this list, let's see what we have left. So this is the full list of cars that can at least be expected, with addition of the Benetton B195, the 2009 Brawn GP 001, and the 2013 Red Bull RB9. That should be, and not 13. Apologies there, that's a typo. My behalf, it's the RB9. So yes, that's the full list of cars. So there's 14 cars there. Now, to be honest, everybody wanted the Brawn GP car in the game, so we can pretty much say 99% certain that will be coming in. For the Benetton and the Red Bull, they're less likely to be in the game. Now, cars that could go from this list, pretty much I've already excluded the 1988 McLaren because of the cost of the license, and also because the 91 McLaren looks exactly the same. Possibly the 95 Ferrari could disappear. The 98 McLaren, we don't know, that could also disappear. The 02 Ferrari and the 07 Ferrari could also disappear because they weren't popular. The Renault R26 was popular. The Ferrari F2004, McLaren MP4-23 was another popular car, and the Red Bull RB6. Not sure if the RB9 will make an appearance, considering the fact that it's not really an iconic car, and especially the fact it was only 5 years ago since that car was actually raced. But nevertheless, those are the list from the three cars that had game files for 2017, and the cars from 2017 that did make it, bar the McLaren MP4-4, which I'm going to say 70% sure that won't be in the game. unless there's going to be a difference between the headline edition and the standard edition of the game, is that you get to drive Ayrton Senna's McLaren. But I don't think that would be a selling focus for Codemasters, especially as the slogan is make headlines and not make history like it was last year. I think this year is going to be about career mode and esports. Those two together will be the combination for promoting the game to everybody. Now here is the list of cars that were including F1 2013 from the 90s. Obviously I don't think we're going to see 80s cars featured at all now, and I'll tell you why. Because they sort of really covered 80s. They covered, the only car that they were missing from the 80s was the 88 McLaren, which they covered in the 2017 game. That was missing from 2013. Obviously they had full licensing, so that might come back now that if they don't have to afford the license for the MP4-4, we'll have to wait and see. So we might see licensed drivers, but this is the 6 cars that were from the 90s. The Ferrari F92A, which wasn't really wasn't really a very good car. The FW14B, which has appeared in both times so far. That and the FW18 are the only 2 cars that have appeared in both games. So them not to be in this year's game is extremely unlikely. But one car that could return, the Ferrari F399. Something to go against that 98 McLaren. Ferrari were pretty much at the top of their game in 1999 before the new regulations came into the new era came in 2000 with Schumacher, but 1999 and 1998 were where McLaren and Ferrari went at it for the title. Eddie Irvine sadly never made it as world champion. It was Hakkinen, but it'd be cool to see 1999 Ferrari F399 return. The 96 Ferrari was absolutely horrendous to drive, so don't bother driving that. If I was to say any other car, the 82 Williams, okay, that car defied odds by winning the World Championship, but I doubt we'll ever see that car, which is a shame. And ultimately it'd be nice to see some other classic cars from down the years. We'll have to wait and see what the full list. There might be other cars that aren't necessarily Grand Prix winners. The BAR Honda comes to mind, or the Honda Earth livery. That's a pretty iconic livery. There may be some other cars. A Toyota car, for example, could make a feature. What else could really make a feature? Well, an early 2010 Ferrari car as well, to go against the RB6, and the 2011 McLaren car as well, which was pretty memorable for people, especially as Canada 2011 was a pretty iconic race. So those cars could make a return, but ultimately we'd have to wait and see. But that's it. Let me know what cars you would like to see in classic cars wise for F1 2018. But until the next video, I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see more of these things. Don't forget to turn on notifications to never miss a video. But until the next video on F1 2018 and game news, I'll see you next time. Take care, enjoy the rest of your day, and goodbye.